Barakatah Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem, Racha Kodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is Who or What is Satan / Devil? And pretty much this lesson will be inspired by a comment on the live chat yesterday. It's not about the truth with them, because these devils are always slandering, and this is what this is all about, this lesson here. But before we get started with the lesson, I was just watching Elder Mawatazak's video called Of Biblical Proportion, and pretty much he was going into scenarios that can play out dealing with the people that have been jabbed and these different sicknesses that could emerge, and as he was speaking towards the end of the speaking, he was mentioning how, in so many words, I'm not saying exactly how he said it, but time for playing is pretty much is over, and this truth is what's going to be the very thing that's going to either make you or break you. Like I said, I'm just merely somewhat paraphrasing. And what I thought about was, Jacob's trouble, martial law, these different events that are going to be taking place on the earth. And the Spirit was on me to want to just say that just remember that when it comes to Jacob's trouble, when it comes to the MOTB being the C-hip, when it comes to martial law, when it comes to these concentration camps, when it comes to the hard times that are coming, the famines and everything that's coming, that's right around the corner, remember you heard it first here at Great Millstone, through the Spirit and power of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai B'Hashem Racha Kodash. Because you had groups out there that ridiculed us back in 08, 09, for speaking about concentration camps and these different things. Elder Apostle Gabar was one of the main brothers that was pushing that out, back then. He was one of the main ones that was going hard through the Spirit and power of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai on the martial law, on the concentration camps of these things that were coming down the pike. So when they do come, which they're right around the corner, and Jacob's trouble comes, remember you heard it here first at Great Millstone through the Spirit and power of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai. Because you have those now that are trying to say that we're not, that we're putting fear in our congregation, that we're making them think that there's going to be an easy transition into the kingdom. That's what a nigga does. They'll ridicule you, but then once it's evident that what you've been saying is true, then they try to make you look bad. But my response to them is fuck you, basically. But anyways, let's get into this lesson. Who or what is Satan / devil? And this is based off of a question that an individual by the name of Paul Rodriguez put on here. Someone can explain me about Satan. I am very confused about Satan. Is he the devil? Well, the easy question to that, or the easy answer to that, is yes, Satan is the devil. But it's a little more complicated than that, because you have the spiritual demon Satan, but you also have the physical counterpart of the spiritual demon Satan. When we go to Luke 4, you can go to Matthew 4. It's the same account. This is the temptation of Yahushai. And Yahushai, being full of the Holy Spirit, returned from Jordan and was led by the Spirit into the wilderness, being 40 days tempted of the devil. Now, this devil here is dealing with the actual spiritual demon Satan that Yahushai was battling. Okay? He actually battled the spiritual demon Satan. Now, I want to get another tab because I don't want to click on it, because I got a couple of precepts that came to mind as I was meditating on the lesson. I don't want to mess up the order. I like the order. Inside joke. So let's go to Luke on this one, the 4th chapter, and let's go to the word devil. And let's see what it says. Because the word devil simply means slanderer. deceiver, which a slanderer is a deceiver. Diabolos, it says prone to slander, slanderous, accusing falsely, a calumniator, false accuser, slanderer. So you have the spiritual demon Satan, that's a slanderer, calumniator, false accuser, and you also have a physical counterpart to them. It says metaphorically applied to a man who, by opposing the cause of God, may be said to act the part of the devil or to side with him, right? So you have wicked among all peoples of the earth. Even among the Israelites, you have wicked. But you have a people on the planet earth that are identified as the wicked. So Yahushua was physically battling Satan here, right? The spiritual demon Satan. When we go to Matthew 13, right? And we go to the, oh man, I messed up the order. That's all right. We go to the 38th verse, Lord's word, or I'll come back. Let's see. All right. When we go to Matthew 13 and 38, it says the field is the world. So the Yahushua is breaking down the parable of the sower seed. And he says, he answered and said unto them, he that soweth the good seed is the Son of Man. All right. The field is the world, meaning the field is the entire planet Earth. So this is how you know when you read Cursed shalt thou be in the field, that the field is dealing with the whole entire world. So anywhere we would go in the field, in the world, we would be cursed. The good seed are the children of the kingdom, which are the Israelites. But the tares are the children of the wicked one. See? So you have sons and daughters of the wicked here on the earth, and it's identified in a particular people, biblically, right? And the reason why they're known as tares was because during slavery you had the Edomites laying down with the slave women and bringing forth Edomite children, or you could say chocolate covered Edomite children. So you have a mixture out there. This is why the Lord is using the word to sift. And people make the mistake to think just because they have dark skin and woolly hair that they're Israelites. No. You have Hamites that are like that. You have Elamites, that are like that. You have Edomites that look very dark with kinky hair, but they're Edomites, and that's why if the Spirit is drawing you into this truth and you understand, then you're an Israelite. But the point is that you have sons and daughters of the wicked on the earth. And this is how you distinguish between the spiritual demon Satan and the physical counterpart on the earth. The enemy that sold them is what? The devil. In other words, the physical counterpart of the spiritual demon Satan are the Edomites. And they are spawns of their daddy. All right? Just like you have wicked among the nation of Israel also. The harvest is the end of the world. The reapers are the angels. So now let's go from there. Now that we identified that that Satan has sons on the earth, let's go to Malachi chapter 1. It says, the burden of the word of the Lord to Israel by Malachi, and Lord's will, this will be an edifying lesson. I have loved you, saith the Lord, yet you say, wherein hast thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother? Right, because we're in the condition that we're in. So how does the Lord love us? But then this was the Lord's answer. Was not Esau Jacob's brother? Saith the Lord, yet I loved Jacob, and I hated Esau. So the people that we're talking about here are the Edomites. Esau, whose name was changed to Edom. In order to understand that, just go to Genesis 36 and read the genealogy of Esau / the Edomites. And laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. And this is going to be in the future. This has not happened yet. His mountains and his heritage was not laid waste for the dragons, because the land of Edom today is connected to Jordan, and that land is still there. And the Lord is not going to destroy that land, because that land is going to be given to Judah. So when the Lord spoke about the destruction of Esau's mountains and of his land, it's talking about America, because when America is destroyed and laid waste, it's going to be a vast wilderness that's going to be inhabited by desert creatures, wild animals. Okay, It says, whereas Edom, see, because Esau's name was changed to Edom. The word Edom, Adawam, means red. The word Esau, Ishashwa, or Ishar, means wasted away is he, because of their pigment, that red. And the Edomite part is red, meaning their red pigment. Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, they shall build, and they have built. Built what? America. America at one time was a very beautiful land. What did they do? They laid out, they cut all the trees and a lot of different things out of the way, and they built cities. But I will throw down. So the Lord said they're going to build up, but the Lord's going to throw down. And they shall call them, who? The Edomites, the border of wickedness. So wherever the Edomites are, that is the wicked. So we identified that there is a spiritual demon, Satan or devil, that they have a physical counterpart on the earth. We identified that the physical counterpart on the earth are the Edomites, which the Most High hates, and the people, not just the man, excuse me, and the people against whom the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai hath indignation forever. He has a perpetual hatred against these people forever, and they were created as the wicked. Then when we go to Job 9 and 24, right, just to give it more teeth, it says the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. So the possession of the earth today is in the hands of who? The wicked. So by process of elimination, who are the wicked? The scriptures identify the Edomites as the wicked. Who has control of the whole planet earth? The so-called white people, beginning with the international banking families, which are small hats, Amalek, whatever you want to call them. So they are the wicked. They are the Edomites. And the scriptures say that Esau is the end of the world and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. All you have to do is type in God in your Google search. Type in so-called Christ or Jesus in your Google search. And what are you going to have? Images of white people posing as the Heavenly Father and His Son, the angels, the Israelites, so on and so forth. If not, where and who is He? So if the so-called white man is not the wicked, if they're not the Edomites, who and where is He? Who did all of these things? Who did all of these prophetic things on the planet Earth? Think about it. All right. Now, as we read there, now, going back to the brother's question, let's move this up. He said, someone can please explain me about Satan. I'm very confused about Satan. Is he the devil? Yes, he is the devil. But you have to understand. And then he goes on to say down here, wait, I say, so what? So wait a minute. Satan is bad, right? Or is he a servant of God? Tell me something. Did Satan will get destroyed in the lake of fire or not? Well, this is where the spiritual demon Satan won't get destroyed in the fire. But the spiritual counterpart of him will. Okay? This is just for a fast, quick answer to that. Now, when we go to... Matter of fact, let me bring up this over here. Because the brother put the scripture already. We go to Job chapter 1, right? And verse 6. It says, now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord. So the sons of the Most High came to present themselves before Him. And Satan came also among them. So what does that mean? If the sons of God, the sons of the Most High, which are the angels, came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came among them, what does that mean? That means that Satan is also a son of the Most High. All right? And they have councils in the heaven. So when we go to Ephesians, let's get to Ephesians real quick, and then let me get this other precept. Let me see, is that 1 Kings 22? Yep, okay. So Ephesians 6 and 12 says this, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, because our warfare is not carnal. We're fighting against spiritual wickedness. We're fighting against these demonic energies that are on the planet Earth that are trying to keep the world asleep, right? Then it goes on to say, against spiritual wickedness in high places. See? So you have spiritual wickedness in high places, right? Just bear with me. Just trying to, get these precepts as they come to mind. So if Satan got cast out of heaven, like they teach in these churches, why is there spiritual wickedness in high places? Because the spiritual demon Satan did not get cast out of heaven. The spiritual demon Satan is in union with the Most High, for lack of better words. They agree together. Satan, the spiritual demon Satan, works for the Most High. When we go to 1 Kings, right, 22 and 17, when you read the whole chapter, this was a king, the king called Ahab and a king called Jehoshaphat. They were about to go to war. And the king Jehoshaphat was a righteous king. He asked Ahab, do you have a prophet that we can inquire before we go to war? Because that's how it was done back then. So Ahab brought 400, I believe it was 400 prophets, and they all say, yeah, you're gonna win, you're gonna take this, you're gonna destroy them, you're gonna do this, that, the other. You're gonna win, don't worry about it. And Jehoshaphat, being a righteous king and a wise king, he said, do you have anybody else besides all of these? Because he knew that the prophets came pretty much solo. And Ahab said, yeah, there's one more, but he doesn't like me. And then Jehoshaphat said, look, don't say that, So they brought the prophet Micah to him. And the prophet Micah, when he came to him, he pretty much at first mocked him, and then afterwards told him the truth, that there was a council in heaven concerning this very matter that Ahab was asking about. So this is what it says. This is 1 Kings 22 and 19. And he said, hear thou therefore the word of the Lord. I saw the Lord sitting on his throne. So the prophet Micah saw the Heavenly Father sitting on the throne. He actually saw this council that was taking place, right? And this is prior to him meeting up with Ahab, before Ahab summoned him. And all the host of heaven standing by him. So every angel was present at this council. They were all present because this was a major issue that was going down, right? On his right hand and on his left. So you had the righteous angels on the right side and you had the wicked angels on the left side. Oh, how can that be, God? Is it? Well, Isaiah 45 and 7 says, I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. So the Lord creates both sides. So why would you think it a hard thing to have righteous angels and wicked angels at the same table with the Lord? Remember what the Apostle Paul said, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Okay? Then when we go to Psalm 78:49, he, the Most High, cast upon them, the Egyptians, the fierceness of his anger, wrath and indignation and trouble, by sending evil angels among them. See? So you have the righteous angels and you have the wicked angels. And they both work for the Most High. So you had the council up there, right? Well, how do you know that they ain't just righteous angels? They're just all sitting, there in the council, some on the right hand, some on the left side. It says, and the Lord said, who shall persuade Ahab? So there was a council. The Lord asked for suggestions of who was going to persuade Ahab, the king, that he may go up and fall at Ramoth Gilead. And one said on this manner and another said on that manner. So they were given suggestions to the Most High, right, Yahweh, of the scenarios that they can use and manipulate to have this particular king fall, because his soul was required in heaven. All right, it says, and there came forth a spirit. So there was one spirit, an angel, and stood before the Lord and said, I will persuade him. All right. So he said to the Most High Yahweh, I'll persuade him. Listen to what the Lord said. And the Lord said unto him, wherewith? So how are you going to do this? How are you going to accomplish this? And he said, the same spirit, I will go forth and I will be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets. Wait a minute. So you're going to be so is a lying spirit a righteous spirit? No. This is a wicked spirit. You know, but what was the reaction of the Most High? Did he say, look, man, you get the hell out. You know what, Michael? Grab this nigga right here and throw him off this cloud and throw him down to the earth. Let's see what the Heavenly Father said. And he said, thou shalt persuade him. You're going to persuade him. Oh, I like that idea. And you're going to prosper in the idea. You see? So people in the world have a misconception of who the Most High is. And prevail also. Go forth and do so. So not only was the Lord pleased with his suggestion, he also told him he was going to prevail. So go ahead and do that. And that's exactly what happened. You know, King Ahab died. He was disguised and he eventually died because the Most High Yahweh put a hit on him through the angels. All right. So this is a council in heaven. So Satan came before the Most High as the son of the Most High. Why? Because he is a son of God. All right. So you have the righteous angels, you have the wicked angels, you have the spiritual demon Satan, and you have the physical counterpart, which are the Edomites on the planet Earth. And this is what you have to do to be able to distinguish between the two. Now let's see where we could go from here. Let's go to the book of Revelation 12. All right, Revelation 12 and 7. So, because this is one of the worst, or should I say, the controversial scriptures that are broken down wrong. They say that the Most High cast Satan out of heaven. The angel Michael, right? Revelation 12 and 7. And there was a war in heaven. So this war in heaven, which the so-called Christians talk about, this is going to be the final war, right? But they say that, pretty much, they say that this already happened because, according to them, Satan was already cast out of heaven, right? Which that's nothing more than a mythology, a myth. It says, Michael and his angels fought against the dragon. And the dragon fought and his angels and prevailed not, neither was their place found anymore in heaven. So now who is this dragon? They automatically say, well, that's the devil, that's Satan, right? When you go up above this, in verse 3, it says, and there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads. Now, is there anywhere in the scriptures that identifies who this creature is, this great red dragon with 7 heads, 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads? And the answer to that is yes, there is. When we go to Revelation 17, because this scenario plays over and over again in Revelation, the red dragon with the 7 heads and 10 horns. And in Revelation 17, it identifies them, right? When we go to the 9th verse, it says, and here is the mind which hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth, the woman being America. The 7 mountains are the 7 top governments of the so-called white men, the Edomites. Beginning with the Greeks, you had the Greeks, the Romans, the French, the Spanish, Germania Major, Germania Minor, and Britain. Those are the 7. And out of those 7 came America, which America is the 8th head. It says, and there are what? 7 kings. And what is this identifying? The 7 heads. The great red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon their heads. The crowns is a representation of rulership. And there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen, and 1 is, and the other is not yet come, and when he cometh, he must continue a short space. But the point is that these are people on the earth that represent this great red dragon. All right. We just read it there. The 7 heads are 7 kings. All right. Which is rulership, which are people. So when we go back to Revelation 12 and 7, and there was war in heaven, Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought in his angels and prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven. Because they're going to be fighting the Heavenly Father, the angels, in the air. How is that going to be possible? Is it going to be men flying in the air? No. You have planes, you have helicopters, you have different vehicles that they use to fly up the space shuttles. So that's going to be the final war. This is the true and proper understanding of Satan being cast out of heaven. All right. So before we go any further, let's go real quick to the book of Revelation 19, because the same story or the same account is told in Revelation 19. When we go to Revelation 19, let's start at 11. And I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he does judge and make war. This is Yahweh Shai, because he's going to be leading the pack. He's going to be leading the pack. And Michael is going to be his top general. His eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns. Why? Because he's going to be credited with taking down all of these different empires and rulerships on the planet. And he had a name written that no man knew but he himself. And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of the Most High, because he is the Word of the Most High. He comes in the volume of the book, and he is the one that's going to be credited with taking down all of these different nations. It says, and the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses, which we just read about in Revelation 12 and 7 on down. Clothed in fine linen, white and clean. This is the army of the Lord. And out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations. Right, because when the Lord comes back, he's coming back in what the world calls UFOs, which the scriptures identify as chariots. And they're going to be shooting lasers out. This is why he says in Luke 12, I am come to send fire on the earth. And what will I if it be already kindled? The Lord is coming to get busy, man. He ain't coming to hand out lollipops and flowers. Because people think that when the Lord comes back, oh, glory day, man, you don't know the day of the Lord is darkness and not light, gloominess. The only ones that are going to be okay are the elect of the nation of Israel, and even the elect are going to be nervous. And he shall rule them with a rod of iron, and he treaded the winepress of the fierceness of the wrath of the Almighty, because the fierceness and the anger and the vengeance that Yahushua is coming with is going to be the Most High's vengeance upon these heathens. And he hath on his vesture and on his thigh a name written, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. That's why in Revelation 14, I believe it says that the kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of the Lord, of Yahushua, which is the true name of the Messiah. Right? And I saw an angel standing in the sun, and he crieth with a loud voice, saying to all the fowls that fly in the midst of heaven, come and gather yourselves together unto the supper of the great power, that you may eat the flesh of what? Kings, and the flesh of captains, and the flesh of mighty men, and the flesh of horses, and of them that sit on them, and the flesh of all men, both free and bond, both small and great, because these are going to be the ones fighting against the Lord. You're going to have generals, you're going to have captains, you're going to have lieutenants, you're going to have privates, you're going to have specialists. You're going to have staff sergeants and all different types of ranks of men, some higher, some lower, in this final war. And I saw the beast, which is the same thing, the beast, or the great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on a horse and against his army. So it's not talking about when Satan got cast out of heaven. It's not talking about the spiritual demon Satan. It's talking about the physical counterpart, the people, the Edomites that are on the earth, that have armies and militaries that are going to fight against the Heavenly Father, Son, and the angels when they come back, and they're going to be eviscerated. You could read about that in 2 Ezra's the 13th chapter in the Apocrypha, and it gives you like a vivid picture of this final battle. All right? And that's pretty much it on that. So now, when you go back to Revelation 12, now you start to understand what this means. And the dragon fought and his angels. That's talking about the Edomites and their militaries. Their angels represent what? Their power. Because the angel is known for what? For his power. And what is the power of the Edomites? Their planes, their tanks, their missiles, and they're going to get eviscerated. Now, when we go into the next chapter, Revelation 20, it also identifies the same red dragon. It says, Revelation 21, and I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. And he laid hold on the dragon, that great red dragon. So these are all names of this conglomeration or this group of empires of Esau, the so-called white man, coming together as one. And these are all names that apply to that whole system. It says, and he laid hold on the dragon, the great red dragon, that old serpent, because that same spirit was in the Garden of Eden. There were a group of men that were known as serpents. They were known as the sons and the daughters of the devil, of Satan, in the garden. And that is that same old spirit that came through Cain. After the flood, it came back through Esau, which are known as the Edomites today, that they are the wicked, which is what? The devil and Satan. So these are all names for the same individuals. The dragon, the old serpent, which is the devil and Satan. And if you can't see it, then it's not meant for you. Because when you identify the great red dragon, it has 7 heads, 10 horns. It tells you that those 7 heads, 10 horns represent 7 kings, which are 7 empires, and it also represents their militaries fighting against the Lord and his angels. If you can't understand that, then it's not meant for you. You're not going to get it. You're either blocked by the spirit, or you are paid off to not see it. And bound him 1,000 years. So this goes into another period. But the point that we wanted to get here is that the dragon, the same dragon that the 7 heads and 10 horns that we identified as being peoples, is also other names for him is called that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan. So you have to be able to identify when it's speaking about the spiritual demon Satan, as in the case of Yahushua battling the devil, as in the case of Satan coming amongst the sons of God, which he is a son of God, and between the physical counterparts, which are the Edomites, which their whole system is known as the great red dragon in the Bible, with 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon their heads. Now that we got that out of the way, let's go to Luke 10. Luke 10 and 18. Matter of fact, let me bring this back here, because I think... Okay. Luke 10 and 18. And he said unto them, I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven. And the word Satan means adversary. So this is what Yahushua is speaking about, because Yahushua already seen the vision of himself and Michael and the rest of the angels coming back and destroying Esau and his military. That's why he said, and he said unto them, I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven. Right? And it says here, back in Revelation 12 and 7, and there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, which was the military of Esau, and prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven. And that great dragon was cast out, what? That old serpent called the devil and Satan. So it keeps repeating the same thing. It's letting you know what it's talking about. This ain't something we're making up. The made up part is that Satan got kicked out of heaven. The spiritual demon Satan and a third of the angels, they got kicked out because they just rebelled against the Most High. And all of these years, the Most High trusted him, and Satan would walk around with a grudge, and he had a dagger on his back. He's just waiting for the Lord to turn his back to try to betray him. But the Lord caught him and ended up kicking him in the ass, and they all fled, one behind the other from heaven. They landed on the island of Lesbos, and all of a sudden now there's a rebellion on the earth. The Nephilims. Come on, man. Those are all fairy tales. And that whole story of the Nephilim, that's the Titans, which is a myth, which is this guy Sitchin. I forget his first name. He was credited with so-called, breaking down those tablets. I believe it was Sumerian tablets. He speaks about the Anunnaki. He speaks about the fallen gods and all of this crap. And that was all bullshit. And he was not an expert in that language, and he mistranslated stuff in that language, that they eventually corrected later. But these devils will do anything to try to push the narrative of the fallen angels, which is all total caca. All right, so it says here, and the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him, meaning his power, his military, his angels are planes, jets, and all of that, stealth bombers, helicopters, tanks, missiles. And when you watch the movie Private Ryan, towards the end of the movie, when they were getting rocked, it was Tom Hanks, and it was Matt Damon, and something happened to where a bomb exploded or a grenade, and I think it temporarily knocked Tom Hanks' sight out, and he heard a noise, and he asked Matt Damon, "What is that?" He said, "Yeah, those are B-50 whatever." He said, B-50 whatever, whatever type of bomber it was a plane, and Tom Hanks was sitting there. He said, "No. Those are angels on our shoulders," because that's what Esau trusts in, his power, his angels, which are those planes, missiles, so on and so forth, his artillery. All right, so let's go from there. Let's go to St. John 12:31. Now is the judgment of this world. Now shall the prince of this world be cast out. So Yahushua is telling the same story over and over again, because he actually seen himself coming in the future with Michael and the angels and taking Esau down from his power structure. So when the disciples asked him, Lord, when will these things be, and what shall be the sign of that coming and of the end of the world? He pretty much was breaking it down that the end of the world, or the end of an age, was the end of Esau's age. So when you see these things happening, know that Esau's time is up. So you could understand. This is why it says Esau is the end of the world and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. This is why it also says that when the Lord comes back, who is this that cometh from Edom with dyed garments from Basra? Because Yahushua is going to be credited with taking down the biggest military, the biggest empire ever amassed upon the planet Earth, that everyone is afraid of, even though they're starting to be like F America. But everybody's afraid of that military power. That combined with America and the beast, which is NATO and the EU, that's a force to be reckoned with. So Yahushua is coming back. He gonna do easy work. He gonna eviscerate them easy. So St. John 14:30, hereafter I will not talk much with you, for the prince of this world cometh and have nothing in me. Right, that's dealing with Esau's power structure. Because they are on the left-hand side. They are the wicked. They have nothing to do with righteousness. St. John 16:11, of judgment, because the prince of this world is judged. Right. And the prince of this world happened to be the Edomites. And there's no coincidence that by the time Yahushua came on the scene, the Edomites were already in power, beginning with the Greeks. You had the Greeks, the Romans, the French, the Spanish, the Germania Major, Germania Minor, and then the British. And out of the British came America. And that beast, which represent them European nations, they're the ones that carrying America. You know? Now let's go from there to Isaiah 14 and 12. Now we understand what this means. It says, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer? And Lucifer is not a name. It's not a proper name. It should not have been capitalized. It's not a proper name of the spiritual demon Satan. The spiritual demon Satan was never called Lucifer. When you understand what the word Lucifer means, it means old day star or light bearer. And who are the light bearers of the world? Well, beginning from the 14 into the 1500s, all the way up until today, you had something in Spanish called the alumbrados, which was Inigo Lopez. I always forget his other name, his more popular name. I always forget. And then you had eventually you had the so-called Illuminati during the 1700s, which the word Illuminati, alumbrados, means light bearers, enlightened ones. That's what this is talking about. That's why it says we wrestle not against spiritual wickedness. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against the powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world. Because they're the ones that have the light, and they're the ones that keep the world in darkness. But the Lord is peeling back that veil so that the elect of the nation of Israel can see. All right? So Lucifer goes back to the Hebrew word hayalal, which goes back to the Greek word, or actually it was translated into the Greek word eosphoros, which both mean the same thing. They both mean light bearers, light carriers. Okay, so how art thou fallen from heaven? Because you were up in the heavens, in your planes, in your military, and you were taken down by the Lord. It says, son of the morning, how art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nation? And that's all that they've done, is weaken the nations. Now, when we jump down, well, pretty much, I see Paul Rodriguez is here. Basically, Lucifer and the devil are just myths, are just mans and not supernatural beings. Well, the devil, Satan, is an actual spiritual demon. I don't know if you watched from the beginning, and if you didn't watch, you got to watch from the beginning. And it's you know why it's complicated? Because of what, this fake Christianity done taught everyone. That's why it seems so confusing. But if you go back to the beginning, hopefully you could understand that the devil and Lucifer, well, the spiritual demon Satan is not called Lucifer. The spiritual demon Satan, you could call him the devil, but he is different from the physical counterpart of the devil on the earth, which are the so-called white people, the Edomites. That's where the name Lucifer comes into play. Lucifer, the devil, Satan, that great dragon, that old serpent. Those are all labels or names for the people on the planet Earth known as the Edomites, that are the wicked. And everything they do goes contrary to the Heavenly Father. But then you have the spiritual demon, Satan and the devil, which is in the heavens, still in the heavens to this day. And he will never be cast out of heaven. Those are myths that were taught. All right. So when we go from here, we're dealing with what? Lucifer, right? Matter of fact, even when you go to the Blue Letter Bible and you look up the word hayalal, which is the Hebrew way of saying Lucifer, goes back to the word halal. It just means brightness. It says Lucifer, light bearer, shining one, morning star, Lucifer, of the king of Babylon. And Satan. It's not talking about the spiritual demon Satan. Nowhere in there in the verse does it speak about the spiritual demon Satan. It speaks about Lucifer, light bearer. Hallel, describing the king of Babylon. Then it says here, morning star. Now when we go back, it says, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, right? Son of the morning. We jump down to the 16th verse. It says, they that see thee. Because people are going to come to the realization of who this devil is or who Lucifer is, or, on the earth, the physical one. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the what? The man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms? So it's not talking about an actual spiritual demon Satan, even though you have the spiritual demon Satan. This is talking, when you read anything in the Bible about Satan be casting out, Lucifer casted out, into the earth, that's all speaking about the people that represent the spiritual demon Satan on the planet, which are the physical counterparts, which are known as the Edomites today. I don't know how much clearer I can make it. I pray that, that brothers, and sisters are following along, that I'm not confusing anybody. If I am, let me know, and I'll go back and recap, so you can get, some form of understanding or better understanding. And this precept that the brother put up is excellent. Let's go to it. 2 Thessalonians 2:8, it says, and then shall the wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth. So the prophets right now are revealing who the wicked are. We established earlier that the wicked are the Edomites, and shall destroy him with the brightness of his coming, because the Lord is coming to destroy Esau, his military, by the missiles and by the lasers from the chariots. Then it goes on to say, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders. So he's coming with the power of Satan, but they are not Satan himself. Okay? So, all you had to do is just go back again, and watch it. Pray to Yahweh Bashem Yahushua to open up your understanding to it. That's about it. You could go to other places, but those are like the main points to make. Because there's a big confusion through what's known as myths. Matter of fact, let me leave you with a couple of precepts on fables. Right? Number one being 1 Timothy 1:4. Neither give heed to fables and endless genealogies. So these fables are what? These myths that have been taught about the Bible. About, like we mentioned earlier, about hell. Hell is one. Another one being the fallen angels, Satan and his angels getting kicked out of heaven. These are all myths. The virgin birth, Mary never had sex and she just got pregnant. These are all myths. Because when you look up this word fables, it goes to the Greek word mythos. Mythos or muthos. Mythos. It says a speech, word, saying, a narrative, story, an invention, a falsehood. See? So it's an invention. It's a falsehood. It's a fiction. Not true. And this is something that has been portrayed on the planet for a while. Here we go. Myth. Definition, right? It says a traditional story, especially one concerning the early history of people or explaining some natural or social phenomenon, and typically involving supernatural beings or events. Right, this is why when you read about the Titans and you read about the Nephilim and things like that, they have to always paint it in a narrative of a supernatural thing. Because it's nothing but a myth. It says a widely held but false belief or idea. That's all it is. It's a myth, a fable. And I'm pretty sure if you type in fable, it's going to say the same thing pretty much. A short story, typically with animals or characters, conveying a moral. Tell fictitious tales, right? A fictitious tale is something that is not true, not real. You have fiction, which is not real, and you have nonfiction, which is real. Let me see what the brother said. This false prophets saying they go to hell and come back are the antichrists that will come in the last days. Yeah, and there's many antichrists. That's another thing. Matter of fact, before we close out, let's go to 1 John. Because that's another myth. The Antichrist. They're looking for one individual. Well, here in 1 John 2:18, it says, little children, it is the last time. And as you have heard that Antichrist shall come. So because it says Antichrist here shall come, they thinking that, oh, this is one man. No. It says, even now are there many Antichrists, whereby you know that it is the last time. And when you break the word Antichrist down, it just means against the anointed. So anything that teaches against the teachings of the Lord, that is an Antichrist or anti-Messiah. And there are many of them. It's not just one. Everybody's looking for this one individual. It's not just one. There's many. That's another myth or another fable that's taught. You know, and then, Lord's will, we'll keep going on, like you got the hell doctrine, that's a whole myth that can be debunked easily. Even when we speak, when Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus, spoke and said, spoke about hell, one of the translations in the Greek is Gehenna. And when you understand the term Gehenna goes back to the Valley of Hinnom in the book of Jeremiah, the 7th chapter. And pretty much that's where they get that whole myth of hell. Because in the Valley of Hinnom, there was a great slaughter, because it was known as a garbage dump where they burned fire. They burned, in some cases they say they burned criminals there. The mothers and fathers would burn their children to Molech. So Yahweh Shai and the Lord, Heavenly Father, he said it will not be called the Valley of Hinnom anymore, but the Valley of Slaughter. So the Lord Yahweh Shai used that, that account as a future judgment that's coming of fire, which is the total destruction of America. Gehenna is also symbolic for the final destruction. Yeah. Yep. That's right. That's right. Because that's when the scriptures speak about the second death, that's what it's talking about. Matter of fact, let's end up with that. Revelation 20. Let's end it with that. Because, you could go on for hours, with all of these different topics. Revelation chapter 20 and 13. And the sea gave up the dead which were in it, and death and hell delivered up the dead which were in them. Right, so how can death and hell... Right. Matter of fact, we'll read on. Delivered up the dead which were in them, meaning the grave. Because you're going to have those that are going to raise out of the grave that are going to be saved. And they were judged, every man according to their works. And death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. But I thought the lake of fire was hell. So how can death and hell be cast into the lake of fire? Death represents death when you die. And hell represents the grave, those that are in the grave, cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. This is the Gehenna, the second death. All right. And so whoever was not found written in the book of life, meaning whoever was not a part of the elected nation of Israel, was cast into the lake of fire. All right. Which is, the lake of fire is going to be created by the missiles, the nuclear missiles that are going to pelt down on America, and the lasers from the chariots. So when the Apostle John and the other men that were saved were in the chariots above the firmament of the heavens, of the earth, they were looking down, and when they saw America on fire, it looked like a lake of fire. That's what it's talking about. It's not talking about hell. Let me see. Zacatecos and Guachichiles from the great Chichimeca in the state of Mexico or Mexico named Zacatecas, you'll get back the Atocha treasure. I don't know what you're talking about, Pai. Fake chosen gods step out and let the truth chosen by God enter the bronze-skinned Native American people. I don't know what you're talking about, but, you do have the true Israelites, which some of them are among the Aztecs and the Inca, Mayan. You have, they're known as Issachar, they're known as Zebulon, and the different names, in the scriptures of the Israelites. All right. So pretty much, with that, that'll do it for for this lesson. Lord's will, this was edifying to you, brothers and few sisters. And to the next time I say, Shalom.